Hello, everybody. This is my final group project, and it is focusing on the recent waffle recall. My name is Renee Garcia. My additional group members are my husband, Lane Garcia, and my son, Ezrin Garcia. So, just a quick introduction about us group members. So, I am a graduating senior here. I finish up this semester, and my degree will be in nutrition and dietetics. I also work as a certified personal trainer. Lane is my husband, and he, as it says, was forced to participate by me. And my son, Ezrin, is a high school student. So today I'm going to be talking about Listeria monocytogenes. It is a pathogenic bacteria. It is found in multiple places, including food, water, soil. It's also somewhat unique in that it can survive certain conditions where other pathogens may not be able to survive, such as under refrigeration, and also in foods that have been preserved to prevent this, like lunch meats. If someone is infected with Listeria, they can come down with listeriosis. This is a very rare condition, but it's very, very serious. And it is transmitted to humans when they ingest a food product or drink water that has been contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. So some of the signs and symptoms, first off, it takes approximately 3 to 70 days, which is a very long time. And it's often hard to trace where the food came from if you were to get sick, 60 days later. Some of the symptoms are kind of like flu symptoms, like fever, aches, and chills. There's nausea and or vomiting, diarrhea, headache, convulsions, and in some cases, death in very severe and rare cases. So just to focus on some groups that are at higher risk than others at contracting this disease and having it be very serious are pregnant women. The result is complications with pregnancy, stillbirth, and miscarriage. The populations that also are immunocompromised, who may have chronic diseases or suppressed immune system due to maybe chemo or some other autoimmune or other condition, they're more at risk, as well as young and elderly, as their immune systems are usually weaker, or in children and infants, they're actually underdeveloped at that time. So if they were to get this, they would be more prone to get it first off. Their body would have a harder time fighting it off, and they would also have the chance of actually becoming much more ill than someone who is healthy. So the food recall that I'm focusing on is very recent, and it is why when you go to the store, there will be no frozen waffles anywhere, or very few. So the actual initial recall date was October 18th, and then they realized they needed to do a voluntary recall expansion. So as of October 22nd, they recalled all of the products that were manufactured in one particular manufacturing warehouse. The reason for recall was a biological hazard. There was a potential for Listeria contamination in these waffle and pancake products. And as I mentioned, it's all at one facility. It did state on the FDA website and the CDC website that no deaths or illnesses were reported, however. So they must have caught it very quickly and were able to get the recall out and stop selling the product. So the products that are affected will have the date range, the best by date range of October 1st of this year to October 11th of 2025. The impact on this you can see when you go to any grocery store. There are very, very few waffles available. And this seems silly, but it did affect my family pretty significantly. I have 4 children, and we go through a lot of waffles, so it was kind of a big deal. All right, so the recall procedure, as I mentioned, the initial recall was October 18th. They did an expansion on October 27th or 22nd, where it was pulled from all the stores, and there were news stories about it. The brands that affected were more than 40, and that includes brands that are at all of the major grocery stores, basically, like 365 Organic, which is at Whole Foods, Good and Gather at Target. Kodiak Cakes is pretty much everywhere, also at Target. all the Kroger waffles, O Organics at Vons, and Trader Joe's waffles. And then up here we can see the stores that were affected also. Some similar recalls are on this screen. We can see the Ready Pack bagged salads. These were salad mixes that had all the salad dressing and all the little bags of like nuts and cheeses and things that you would add to it. August 30th, we had a brand called the Ice Cream House. The ice cream was infected with listeria, and it they had to recall all of the products, including cakes and all the desserts that had that ice cream in it. And then June of last year, the brand Sun Opta, which is a very large manufacturer distributor of frozen fruits, had a recall, and it affected all of the major grocery stores. And then in preventing listeria, we can see that if you wash your hands thoroughly and frequently, that's usually a good preventative measure for avoiding listeria contamination. Make sure to cook and reheat your food to the recommended internal temperature. Prevent cross-contamination and prepare and store foods safely. And check for food recalls regularly and throw out contaminated foods if needed. The economic impact, I could only find a little information because this is still ongoing, but the Treehouse Foods did report a 1 to 2% decline in their sales instead of a 2% sales growth, which is what they had projected, which equates to about a 3.4 million loss in sales just in the third quarter of this year. However, the losses were not severe enough that it really affected Treehouse Foods too negatively. And then lastly, my family did not want to be interviewed, and that's okay. So I just noted our reactions here. My reaction initially was that it was just so much food to waste, and it did affect us. Definitely because this is a quick go-to breakfast for my family, so it's been a little tough finding replacements for that. But ultimately, I'm glad that nobody got sick. My husband Lane's reaction was that it was kind of terrifying that so many products were recalled. It was, I think, over like 700 different waffle varieties. And he also mentioned that it was very costly and wasteful, but he's happy that no one died, which is, yes, we never want that to happen. And my son's reaction was that he was nervous about foods now, seeing how many of foods this just possible contamination affected. But he was happy to hear that there's a way to track this. And we look at the UPC codes on products, and we're able to know if it's good or if we should toss it out. And then he said he was grossed out. So that's it. Just a couple reminders. Wash your hands and your food. Cook your food to the recommended internal temperatures. And here are my resources. Thank you, guys.